My headspace is back into being all about saving money again right now, and I am long overdue posting any sort of video about saving, and what better time to do it than going into a brand new year with a brand new savings goal. If you're new here, welcome. Hi, my name is Charlotte and I'm on a bit of a mission to create content that inspires people to live a simpler, lighter and more enjoyable life in what is otherwise a very chaotic and busy and stressful modern world. I make videos about minimalism, decluttering, saving money, simplifying, and with a brand new sprinkling of faith in our good Lord, because I am a new Christian very early on in my Christian journey. So if any of that is your cup of tea, feel free to subscribe down below and follow along. Over the last few years, we have had a lot of content that looks a bit like this. And I'm not just talking about bad eyebrows and hairstyles. What I'm actually talking about is content about saving money, strategies for saving money, lots of no buys along the way. And this is something I really want to bring back to my channel because it's one of the things that I've been speaking less about lately, as I have taken some spending restrictions off myself and sort of ran with my good habits. But I think it's time for a fresh new goal. So do follow along if you're interested in this, and if you need any savings motivations, tips, tricks, then you've come to the right place. Every time I've done a savings challenge of any sort, anytime I talk about money, savings, finance, strategies, all of that sort of stuff, it always comes with a goal in mind, a motivation. And if you're trying to save more money, I would really advise that you find some sort of motivation in yourself. You're more likely to succeed if you've got a reason for saving. Because if we're being real, the options here are you save money and that will have less current instant gratification, less money to spend in the here and now, less money to enjoy in the here and now. That is the payback you get for saving money and building that savings up for whatever it is you want, or even just for more security. If you're the sort of person, and I have been this person, I used to be very maximalist. If you're new here, if you went backwards on my channel, you would see that the whole point of my channel was the start of a journey from being more maximal to more minimal. So I completely understand having that desire to spend money and have that instant gratification of I want that now, and that material thing makes me feel good and it gives me that dopamine hit and all of that. I've been there. But that's the payoff, because to save money, you're going to have to spend less of it and be okay with having less of that free spend money. And so if you've not got a goal in mind, if you've not got something you're aiming for, it's very easy to slip back into bad habits and just say, I'll spend what I want. I've worked hard for it, and I always say, rightly so, no one can dictate to you how you spend your money. And I am always a big believer in that. If you're the one that goes out to work and earns that money, nobody can tell you how to spend it and what to do with it. But if you're going to go on a savings journey and you are the sort of person that likes to spend your money quite freely, but you want to save, you need to give yourself some motivation. So what's the goal here? Without that, it's very easy to slip back into your old ways of spending and getting back into that mindset of I work hard for my money, I'll spend it how I want. But keep in mind, you saving money is just a different way of benefiting yourself than you spending your money on things for yourself. So it's all about a mindset shift. My motivation is to become financially free, and by that I mean debt free. The biggest thing for me is I will keep working, I will need to keep working until my home is secure. In other words, until I've paid off my mortgage. I feel like once that is done, I can start to take a step back, whether that means I work less hours, I work in a completely different industry, in a less demanding job because my work is really, really mentally and physically taxing. Whether that means I can work for myself or work from home, whatever the future is, whatever's in God's plan, I will take it. But for me, I want to be able to reduce that amount of work. And my headspace is I'm willing to work hard now to free myself up sooner. But to do that, I need to save a lot of what I earn to free myself up. So I want to be able to pay off my mortgage. And then when that's paid off, typically as a household, we will need less money coming in. So it means I won't have to work at the current capacity that I am, because I'll be able to take a step back. And as I said at the start of this video, my big thing is slowing down. I want to be able to slow down, and the way I work now, that makes that very difficult. And so trying to manage a slowing down lifestyle in the way I work is really quite a challenge. Now, when I say I'm doing a savings challenge this year, that does not mean I will pay off my mortgage this year. We are a long way, a lot of years off that point. But if I can speed that up, then for me, that is a good thing. And my strategy has never been to overpay my mortgage monthly. I've always been advised against that, because you end up paying more of just the interest that they keep putting on. The advice I've always had is wait until your current mortgage product is over. So you might have a 2-year, a 3-year, a 5-year if you have a mortgage. And then before tying into your next product, pay off a lump sum of the capital so that it reduces it, and so you'll have your mortgage for less time. So that is my goal plan. When I next come out of my current mortgage product, I've got a few years to do that, to have a lump sum of money saved that I can pay a big chunk off my mortgage, and over time it will slowly start to come down. And you might ask, why do I want to do that? Why don't I just keep paying my mortgage for the next 30 years and enjoy the money I have left over every month, you know, whilst I'm young enough to enjoy it like any other normal person? Why do it? And as I said, I want the financial freedom. I want to, in my 40s, be able to slow down, and I want to retire early. I don't want to keep working until I'm 68. I just don't. I want to be able to slow down, and, you know, I'm in my 30s now, and if I'm already feeling this now, how am I going to feel in my 40s and my 50s? So I'm just kind of thinking ahead. And, you know, people will also ask me questions, what if you want to move? You're sort of committing to either staying in this house or staying in a house of approximately this value. And we've talked about it, and obviously it would be lovely to live somewhere else. There are things we would like that this house doesn't have the potential for. We would like more land. We would like to be not completely secluded, but a little bit more. There are things in our home that we would like to have, but we can't physically have in this house. But it's kind of like, where's the line? Where do you make the trade-off? Tom and I have no plans to expand our family, so we don't really need any more space. Where we are is a nice area. It's not perfect, but it's nice. And I know you can't always judge that. In 10 years, it could be a very different place. But we've kind of made our peace with it, that whilst we don't know what the future holds, this is our plan, to stay here in this house, and the trade-off being the freedom in the future. It might not be everything we want, but the financial freedom means more to us, and being able to slow down and live a different sort of lifestyle means more to us. So my goal for 2026, and this is separate to anything Tom's doing, so this is just my saving, and the brief version of this, because I've talked about this lots of times before, is we have separate incomes and we have separate places for our money, and we also have joint money. And that's where we pay all our bills from, and we contribute the same to our monthly bills and all of that. But we do have our money, but we also have separate money, and we have separate savings. And so when I say I've got this savings goal, that is just me on my own. And my goal for 2026 is to save £15,000. Now that's not £15,000 total in all of my savings, that's £15,000 new just in 2026, which is massive. That works out to be £1,250 per month, which is a much bigger savings target than I've ever had before. And so the next question I get asked is, Charlotte, how can you afford to do that? How can you have over £1,200 just lying around every month that you can afford to put into savings? And I have this big thing where I always say, don't just live within your means, live below them. And this, again, this is the trade-off. So some people will view the world as, you only live once, I'm going to take the money I've worked hard for, and I'm going to have this really lavish, amazing life and spend it all and do what I want, because why shouldn't I? And if that's you, you do you. Fair enough. For me, I've always lived way below my means, and my life hasn't always been easy. I've definitely been through hardships, particularly financially, and so I understand the difficulties, and I understand what it means to live paycheck to paycheck, where your bills are the majority or entirety of what you earn. I understand that, and I've been there. which is why I always live below my means now. So when I've been lucky enough, when I've been blessed to get a promotion at work or get a pay rise, I haven't then gone out and bought a new car or financed a new car or started to think about home improvements or started to think about moving to a bigger house or getting a more expensive phone contract or the latest this, that and the other. I haven't gone, well, I can afford to wear all these label brands now. I don't do it. And like I've already said, everybody's different. If that's what you want to do when you get a pay rise or a promotion, that's fine, you do you. But I don't do that. And so when people come at me like, oh, you must be so rich if you can afford to, you know, save £1,000 a month, it's because I keep all my bills so low. And if I do earn any more money, I don't increase my lifestyle spending. I keep it low. So, you know, there's people that I know that earn less than me, but are out there driving brand new financed cars. I'm running around in my car that's 10 years old. I was the 4th owner when I bought it, and I bought it cash for a few grand. If I wanted to, I could take that leftover £1,000 I've got in every month and finance a car for £400 a month and have a brand new car. I could trade in my £20 phone contract for my old phone that's 4 years old and go and get the latest one and spend £50–60 a month on that. If I wanted to, I could spend I don't know what on Sky TV packages. I've never had Sky because it's so ridiculously expensive. If I wanted, I could pick up an expensive habit. I'm not going to, but if I wanted to, I could drink, I could smoke, I could vape. But why? Why would I waste money on that? If I wanted to, I could go and buy, after I guess 6 months, a £6,000 handbag. But why? And this is what I always say to Tom when I talk about it. But why? Why would I do that? Why is that better than me having financial freedom earlier in my life? And I get it. I don't know what's going to happen. I might not make it to 40. I might not make it to 50. You don't know what's in the plan. But those things to me are so unnecessary and such a waste of money. So when everyone says, oh, how have you got all this leftover money at the end of the month? You must earn loads. No, I earn comfortably, but I live in a small house. You know, I don't have credit card debt. If I have a credit card, and if I use it, I only use what I can afford and pay it off every month. I don't have a car on finance. I don't have an expensive phone. I don't go out to eat a lot, and I don't have, you know, expensive drinks and things. I don't have Sky TV packages. I don't get a coffee on the way to work every day. There's so much I don't do, and before I go any further, that doesn't make me better than you. It just means these are the choices I've made. And so when people say, you know, you've got loads of expendable income, it's just because of the choices I've made to live way below my means. And different people earn different things. And I understand that some people earn just as much as their bills and they're really struggling, and I've been there. But my key message here is, if you have the opportunity to earn more, you don't have to then spend more. This money that I want to save, if you're looking for savings motivation, it doesn't just come out of thin air. I've not got a magic money tree that goes, here's this leftover money that you can spend. This money is made spare by not spending it on other things. And living this way for us has just meant that there is a better ratio of bills to earning. It makes it more comfortable. Our income makes paying our bills more manageable. And I mentioned it briefly, we have our own money and then our money. So we each earn roughly the same amount, there's not much in it, and we contribute the same amount to our bills, and that gets paid. And the amount we each contribute works out to be around 38% of our net income. Now, I try not to fixate too much on that percentage. I know a lot of people that are really big on saving, so try to keep your expenses below 35%. For me, that's not far off. I think we do so much to cut our expenses and live in quite a frugal way that I don't need to cut any more corners. In fact, there are very few places I could cut corners, and that's where, you know, I'm definitely on board with people that are like, I can't get my bills any lower. You know, I've swapped companies for utilities and stuff to get it as low as we can. That's what we've done. We've got everything where it is as low as we can do. You know, we do budget food shop, we plan meals down to the last detail and things like that. So I feel like we really have reduced as much as we can, where, you know, you're not living at a point where you are miserable. Like, let's not start leaning into that. Do I seem unhappy with the way I live? No, but let's not start taking away the small treats we do give ourselves. So I'm not too worried about that percentage. When you then add to that the £1,250 I'm talking about for savings, I will then account for in total 77% of my net income. And so that gives me 23% of my income, which will be fun money, if you like. Money I can do what I like with. And by reducing that amount, you really do have to be more selective. So for me, I'll prioritise things for the home, given that we're sort of committing to this house now. I want to make this home home, and where I'm going to stay and where I'm happy to stay. So the changes I said, there's things where there isn't the potential for it, but the things there is, where I can make this home more of my forever home, then I'm up for spending a bit of money making those changes. I like to travel. We like to go on little mini breaks here and there, or a week's holiday each year, something like that. So for me to have those things, I have to be selective about what I buy. If I want those things, I can't also have new clothes or expensive makeup or whatever else. I have to be selective. I can't just have everything. And I think that's a really good thing to sort of train into yourself, having that patience and not being able to have everything, and being selective, because saving money is also important for me. I always say it's the second most important thing. Pay your bills, then pay into savings, then worry about what's left over for your free fun money, if you like. And you know, I call it fun money, that leftover money, but it's not all designated for fun, because we each have our own individual bills we pay for outside of our household bills. So for me, that's things like I have my contact lenses, I have to put petrol in my car. Last week I had to go get new glasses, so I had to pay for those. When I go to the dentist, I've got to pay for that. When car insurance rolls around, I pay for that for the year because it's better value to do that. So I can't suddenly go, oh right, this is all left over, I can do what I want with it, because in January there might be a big bill for this, and in February there could be a big bill for this, whether it's glasses one month, dentist another, car insurance another, MOT and service another. I'm trying to think of some of the big things. Birthdays, Christmas, you know, there's all these other things to be thinking about. That any leftover money I have, that 23%, that's not just fun money. I've got pets to pay for and things like that. So that's just worth keeping in mind. So when I say I have to be selective about the money that I have left over to enjoy, that's really just discipline within myself, building discipline, because you can't have it all. And it's important to exercise patience and really prioritize. And over the years, you know, I've been on this minimal journey, and one of the things that does actually keep me on track is I've had too much stuff in my space. I've spent hours of my life decluttering. I've gone through the difficulties of then responsibly getting rid of the things that I no longer want, whether that's selling them, donating them, recycling them, trying to find any way other than just trashing them to get them out of your home responsibly, that whenever I buy anything now, I'm thinking ahead like that. I'm thinking, right, how long will I have this for? Am I really going to get loads of use out of it? If it gets to the point where I don't want it anymore, how am I going to get rid of it? How much am I spending on it to eventually get rid of it? And all of this stuff is ticking over in my head that makes me less likely to buy, in particular, material things. So there's a lot here that kind of ties together, and there's a lot to unpick, but hopefully what I'm sort of suggesting to you is, if you're open to it, a slightly different way of living, a slightly different way of managing your money by living below your means. And if you are blessed with more money along the way, how that doesn't have to mean you upscale your lifestyle to meet it. You can enjoy then that bit more of freedom because you're not going up to your means again, you're living way below them. Anyway, that's enough of that. So my strategy, if you've been around for a while, you all know I love premium bonds. In the UK, premium bonds are a way of saving, if you like, investing money, but they're a bit strange. So every bond is £1, and you can buy a minimum of £25 at once, and they just sit in your account like money, but they're bonds. When you log into your account, you see it as money, because back in the old days, they were physical slips of paper that it was actually a bond. Now you just see it as an amount in an account. It looks no different to a bank account, really. The trade-off here is you don't earn any interest on it, and the National Savings and Investment Company gathers what would have been everybody's interest, and every month they give prizes. It's a bit like a lottery, but you don't lose what you put in. So it's kind of like a risk-free, but you don't earn any interest on it. Now, as long as I've had it, the amount of prizes I've won each month have been equivalent to or more than the interest I would have earned in my savings account at the rate it had each year. So I've never found it to be something where I'm losing out on. It's a little bit exciting to see if you win each month, and you can win anything from £25, multiples of that as well. It's not just if you win 25, you get one 25. You could win three £25. There's also £100, £500, £1,000, £5,000, £10,000, £50,000, £100,000, and 2 prizes every month of £1 million. So I guess I like it because there is that opportunity for life-changing money. So I do quite a bit of my savings in my premium bonds, but it's not my only avenue. I also have a stocks and shares ISA. I only put £100 a month in there because, you know, that's all I'm willing to risk, because that is more risky. That could just completely disappear one day. So I only put £100 a month in there, and I put £250 a month into just an online savings account, which I transferred from my cash ISA because my cash ISA had a lower interest rate than just this generic online savings account. So do check your interest rates. So I do £250 a month in there. So with £100 in my stocks and shares ISA and £250 in my just little online savings account, that's £350. That means I need to be putting £900 a month into my premium bonds. So that's my strategy. That's where that money's going to go. One of my goals is to max out premium bonds, which, you know, that's going to take a good few years, but the most you can have in premium bonds is 50,000, which is one of the things I like about it, because once you reach that point, it kind of puts you on a level playing field, even with the richest person that has premium bonds, because, you know, they can't put all their millions into it and be pretty much guaranteed winning every month. The most anyone can have is 50,000. So that's why I like it. It feels more fair than, let's say, another system where you might win money. And like I say, you remove that risk at the expense of losing your interest, but it generally works out quite well. And so naturally, with a savings challenge like this one, I will be bringing some updates. And so if you want to follow along, then please do. Those updates will come in the form of how the saving is going. I would love to get back to doing monthly spending updates. So being really transparent, really open about how we are spending money and what on. So you can see that this isn't just all talk. I'm not just saying, you know, we live below our means. I'm not just saying I don't splash out. You know, if I buy clothes this month, I'll tell you. And if I don't, I'll tell you. If I eat out once this month, I'll tell you. And I think it's really interesting just to sort of share that you can do it this way. And so if you would be interested in me doing those sort of the old school like no buy updates, I don't know if it's necessarily worth calling it a no buy at this point, but if you like those monthly updates about, you know, different people's spending, then I'm happy to bring those. I'm happy to bring videos as well on different saving strategies and sort of budgeting and the way we budget, maybe to give you some ideas about your own setup. But just a reminder before I click off is that everyone has different financial circumstances. So, you know, if you're going to comment down below, then just be kind to each other, because people do have very different scenarios. People can have drastic changes in their financial scenarios. We've been there. And so, yeah, just be gentle and kind. Remember, different people have different priorities with where their money goes and what they do with it. But if you are feeling like you're in the need of a bit of motivation, and if you want to ask any questions, then feel free to subscribe. Everybody is welcome here. Remember to be thankful for all your blessings and keep the things you want in your prayers. Like I said, at the moment I am praying for opportunities that allow me to start to slow down a little bit. And so keep those thoughts in your prayers, the things you want for yourself, but do remember to say thank you for your blessings. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you found some of it useful. And as I said, follow along if you want to hear more of this journey or to get any sort of help and guidance on your own. Thanks for watching. God bless. Take care.